Hello everyone, welcome back to the Midlife Budget. I hope you were all well and had a good week last week and you didn't get blown away or snowed in by the weather that we've had. I was away with work and I'm away about 3 days a week in the first week of the month, every month, and I don't get back till late on a Thursday. Then my new budget starts on a Friday. So this week I'm always a little bit, week 2, I'm always a little bit late with my cash stuffing and what have you. So what I'm going to do in today's video is I'm going to take you through our spending for the first week of January. It's always lots and lots of spending going on in January. Most of my bills come out then. And then I'm going to cash stuff for the second week of January. So let's get the planner in and see what we've got on this tracker. Here we go. Can you see that okay? Shall I zoom in a bit so you can see the figures? Okay, there we are. So we rolled over 67.89 and our earned income, including my husband's bonus, was 7,113.22. And then I did use a small amount of savings from sinking funds, which was £102. So we had £7,283.11 to play with. As you can see from this section here, this is my fixed expenses. And this is all of our direct debits that came out. The grey ones are mortgage and utilities. These kind of like khaki, greeny, yellow colour are insurance. The orange is for my dog and all the yellow is subscriptions. So we had the mortgage come out. Our mortgage is very large at £2,041.20. We have council tax and then 2 life policies, 2 accident sickness. And then other utilities that came out were TV licence, gas and electric, which is this payment they put it up to in January of 373. It will be going back to 323. But our electric, well, it's particularly our gas usage in December was horrific. This is an old house. It's got big rooms and it's quite difficult to heat. Water, £60.57. My husband's mobile, £11.95. Pet insurance at £64.87. I think the renewal for that one's going to be due shortly, so I need to have a look because it was his birthday at the weekend. Our gym came out, embarrassingly. That's the first time I've used it yesterday in absolutely ages. My son's gym, we cancelled Prime. My husband paid double the app to complete that one, so at the end of the annual contract. The Ring Mobile, not Ring Mobile, is it Ring Mobile? You know, the Ring camera on your front door, that one came out. Apple storage and then our National Trust membership, so 3,116.17. I haven't done the balances at the bottom. Now hold on to your hats to when we see what the food spend was. So I allow myself £200 a month, and I allow myself £200 a week, and this week we spent £111 and 3p. £111 and 3p. And I don't think I did anything, I didn't like feed us out the freezer or anything. That's just what we spent. And I didn't have any like leftovers from Christmas because we went out for lunch, so I didn't really buy a lot. So that was fab. Household, I spent £14 and 7. We did need a few cleaning bits and bobs, and then toiletries was £18.13. £10 of which was some shampoo for my son because he has to have medicated shampoo. Nothing miscellaneous. School was above budget because I had to put some money on my son's card to pay for his bus because I've ordered him a bus pass and it still hasn't turned up, which is a bit annoying because it runs from the start of the January term until Easter. So I'm paying double basically, which is a bit frustrating. Family fun is the New Year's Eve meal that we had, the night out that we had. So I don't know if I mentioned that we were planning to go for a meal out and we ended up cancelling it and going to a party at the pub with our friends, which worked out cheaper. And then we also went out for lunch last weekend, not weekend gone, weekend before with my brother, and we were a bit under budget for both of those. We did this week spend £23.45 on eating out. So my husband's tried really hard not to buy lunch at work, but he's had a couple of very early morning starts because one of his teams had a an unexpected bereavement and he's had to be off. So he has bought breakfast a couple of times, but he has not once bought lunch, which is good. But he also treated my son to a takeaway when I was away, which is the majority of that. Oh, and I spent £1.95 on a cup of tea when I was travelling this week. And that's because I was a silly person and I paid on my card, not my corporate credit card. I can claim it back, but I've just taken it. I'll just pay for it. And then I've got our spending. So my husband gets all his spending up front, which is 140. And then I get my spending weekly. So I had £40 this week, which as you can see is what I budgeted. But I actually spent 140. And that's because I used £100 of my personal savings to buy a walking pad on Facebook Marketplace. And we went to get it. I think it was on the sort of, was it the 2nd of Jan that we went to get it? I can't remember. I'm thinking, when did I go and get it? So I went to get this walking pad, and it was a disabled lady who'd had it, who couldn't, with her sticks, get it to walk. So she'd been on it for 10 minutes twice. It was still in the box and everything. And it was exactly the one I wanted. So I paid £100 for it. And I think it's about 190 or something if you bought it new. So it's fab. Love it. So that's why that's 140. So that extra £100 was part of that money up here. Okay, so what else did I spend money on? Let's have a look. So home maintenance was some rollers to fix the shower door. They're the wrong ones, so I'm going to send them back, get some more. £9.98 on health with some over-the-counter medicines, I think. And then the 261 here was part of my husband's trip. I thought his friend had already paid for the accommodation. And that's why when we kept asking him, how much is it, what do you want? He'd never told us, and it's because he hadn't booked the damn thing. So they've just booked it last week, and they're going in a fortnight. So £261 for the apartment. And then I did put quite a bit into sinking funds. So we funded home insurance, glasses, back to school, home maintenance, clothes, Mr.'s birthday, Mother's Day, barbers, health, the dog, my hair and my nails. And then we booked our Christmas holiday. So one of my goals that I mentioned in our 2026 money goals video and on my Instagram, that is we are going to Lanzarote for Christmas this year. So I paid the deposit for that. So that was budgeted, but I paid it rather than it go in the sinking fund. I put £10 into the January challenge, and then there's about 240. I think I'm a fiver out somewhere. That's going into the 75-day detox, and then I've got 77 pence going into the penny challenge. So we're going to sort that all out shortly. And then debt-wise, I paid my long-term debt, which is £349, and then there's some extra spending down here that I couldn't fit elsewhere. So £350 for gifts was on a birthday card. £12.98 was some of my son's pocket money that he spent through our account. I spent £62 on clothes, which was covered £50 from sinking funds and £12 from my personal spending. And then my EV charging, so I put £100 aside for my EV charging, and I had a problem with my home charger, so I had to go to a public charger and charge, so I'm way over budget, £127.28. It's working now, it would be, wouldn't it, when I don't need to go anywhere. So I think the calculations are a little bit out with paying the money back in, because a lot of these were actually covered by sinking funds. There's the dog under the desk. But I've going into week 2 with £1,864.41. So I've only got a little bit of change to sort out, and then depending on how long this video is, we might stuff my 75-day detox money on this video, or we might do it on a separate video. We'll see how we get on. Okay, so let's just deal with that 70, I think it's 77 pence that I need to put into my I've got the coins here for 77p and a dog hair for good luck. But I'm not going to do the bag it and bin it anymore. Change is as good as the rest. Not that there's anything wrong with that challenge. It's really good. But my husband wanted to do this. So he wanted to do the penny challenge. I'm like, I've done that twice already. I think the most I ever got to was £270. But that was not putting pound coins in it. And once I've done the 75-day detox, I am going to put pound coins in it. And you can see, I think I've crossed off £5.98, which was the dregs of the Bag It and Bank It challenge. Anything where I didn't have a full bag to pay in, then I just put the money in here. So I've got 77p today, so I can do that one there. So there we go. We'll pop it in here. So this is I got 3 of these Emma Bridgewater spotted tins from the charity shop for about £3. And they were just sitting on the top of the dresser I have in the breakfast room. But they're all a bit sort of like bent, and they're a nightmare to get the lids off. So I just have them for display. So I've kind of sacrificed one for this challenge because I wanted something big enough to take all the coins. There we go. So that's that one. So that'll get a bit of love. It'll only get 50p's and under until I've finished the 75-day detox. And then it'll start getting pound coins and everything. Okay. So that's it really for that one. Oh, let's have a look though. What I've got in rollover. Okay. So this is week 1's leftovers. So I have never, ever had this much money left over in food. 20, 40, 60, 70 pound. It's a little bit different than the 200 less what was on the, oh God, get your words out, Kate. So I had a £200 budget. I've spent 110. I've got 70 here. Some of the money went into my Dice Baby Challenge at the beginning of the week. And I also used a £5 towards one of my husband's breakfasts. So I've got £70 there. I've got 16 left in household. 10, 15, 16. Well, that's a monthly budget. So that is staying there. Definitely need laundry stuff. If not this week, I'm going to need it next week. And then I've got £12 in toiletries. And that's definitely going to get wiped out in week 3. I've got £5 in miscellaneous, which can come out. And then nothing left in family fun. And then my spending is, what have I got in there? 18, because I've spent the £12 on those 2 tops. And then this is the money that I have put aside for the money detox challenge. This is what I've done in week 1. So I'm going to cash stuff this separately. So I have 20, 40, 60, 81, 20, 40, 60, 80, 92, 10, 20, 25, 27, plus I've already put £13 into Dice Baby. So that's 240. Now I think I've recorded 245 and I don't know what I've done with the other £5. So it is what it is. It's what's in there. Okay, so that's all that cleared out. So let's have a look at what we've got to cash stuff in week 2. So I've got all this money here. Now I think it's 515. So I've got £100 as a placeholder. And then I've got 20, 40, 60, 80, 20, 40, 60, 83, 20, 40, 60, 84, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 95, 5, 10 and 15. So £515, £415 in cash and £100 in a placeholder. Right, get that in there. Watch out, dice. Okay. Right then, so let's have a look at the weekly expenses. Now, because I'm stuffing this late, I have spent most of my food budget already. So I'm just going to put in 20, 40, 50, 55 and the £5 coins. Oops, make 60 quid. But I'm going to do Dice Baby as I normally do with that money. All going towards the 75-day detox challenge. When I find it, here it is. Okay, still can't find my 10-sided dice. I think the dog swallowed it. Okay, so what colour shall we have this week? Let's be boring and have brown. Right, so because I haven't got the 10-sided dice, I'm going to throw the blue ones and add them together. And then I'm going to throw the red ones and add them together. So I've got 6 on the blue. So 6. And what's that? Oh, I can't do. Can I do that? 11. No, I can't. And 4. It's not very much, is it? So that's a tenner. So there's a £10 going into Dice Baby. Actually, we'll get rid of the pound coins. Into there. There we go. I mean, it doesn't matter if I don't, oh, that's the wrong one. If I don't put too much into it, because anything that's left over will be going into the savings pot for that challenge anyway. So another £5 into there. And there we go. Got no 6s left now. Okay, so that one goes over there. They can go in the pot. And then the £50 I've got left will go into food. And since we are not shopping more than once a week, I think most of that, if not all of that, will be left. That's our aim, is not to shop more than once a week. There we go. So £50 into there. Household doesn't get topped up. No, just toiletries, but miscellaneous will get £5. There we go. And family fund's going to get 25, but I am actually going to reconcile some of that money with the overspend from last week, so there won't be 25 left in there. I'm going to use some of that. I think I need to take £18 off it, so there'll just be £7 left in that one. And then my spending, so it's week 2, so I get 30. Goodness me, why have I only got a £5? I seem to have not enough £5s. Right, so I'm going to put some money into my personal spending, or personal savings, should I say. So we're working on this one, which is for me to do a bit of spending. I need some new makeup. I really am desperate for clothes. Even my husband said when he was doing the ironing the other day, said, we really need some more clothes. And I think this is why I've managed to save. What, I've got I've got £550 saved. And I don't get much. That's like half of my spending money for the year. And I went on holiday last June. So I haven't spent it. And I bought 2 new tops from River Island. I like River Island. Yeah, I really could do. I need tops more than I need bottoms. And I could do with some new trainers, I think. I'm going to put 20 in. There we go. So 20 in there is 30 in Do Not Forget to Save from Em's budget, in the envelope from Budget with Ira. So that's my savings. I had a bit of a shock this week. My friend said, oh God, I keep picking up the wrong binder. My friend told me that the cruise that I need to pay for is due in February. I'm like, oh my Lord. I thought it would be due at least March or April, but we go at the end of May, so I suppose that's a bit over. I'll make some... Oh, excuse me, I was sneezing then. 10, 20, 25, 28 I've got in personal spending. So yes, the cruise is due in February, but luckily I get a bonus. I get my annual bonus at the end of January, so I will have the money available to pay for it. Okay, so that's that one. That's the weekly expenses done. And then we're on to sinking funds. So we'll start with annual as usual. And I'm putting £10 into medical, which is this one. So medical now has £20, £30. And I'm saving up to have a tooth out. Lucky me. Okay, and then I'm also going to put £20 into back to school. So back to school now has 20, 40, 60, 80. So the bus pass needs to come out of that because I've had to send a cheque off. It's so old fashioned. And I think that's why it takes so long. Last time it didn't take that long. I got it within a week, but this has been, we're going into the 2nd week now. Okay, and then subscriptions, somewhere at the back, is also getting 10. So subscriptions now has 20, 40, 50, 5. And that is to pay for the green bin. So last year we got 2. The year before we got 1. These are your garden waste bins. We got 1 and still it wasn't enough and got 2. But I think we might actually just try and get away with 1 this year again. Okay, so that's all my annual ones. I like putting money in that one because it builds up. Because you don't dip into it like I do into my variable. So it just does build up over time. And then birthdays is my son's birthday. Here it is. And we're going to do one of these cakes here. Each cake is £40. If you remember, I did borrow some of the money out of here to buy him some clothes in December because he was a bit desperate. So I will, when I get my bonus, put that money back in. If it's not a bonus, then it'll be out of the 75-day money detox challenge. So he's getting £20, £40 to start that back off again. Okay. Anything else in here? Yes, gifts. So gifts is getting £10. And that now has 20, and I need to put that £20 into a gift at the end of the month for my friend's daughter. So that's birthdays done, and then we'll move on to variable, which is in the green one. So my binders are getting a bit knackered, but all my envelopes in my weekly, the ones I have in my Saffiano, the sort of pink and orange ones, those envelopes are knackered, and I've seen some envelopes in the exact colourway that I want because I like the zip ones, but I cannot find anyone that's got in stock a beigey creamy binder. I prefer the pebble ones, but I would do with it, I would have a ripple, but I just can't find one anywhere, and that's the particular colour I want. I would go for sort of a sand colour, but yeah, that kind of stone sand beige kind of colour. So if you do know anyone who's stocking them, please do let me know. Because that's the colour I want, because it will go with the envelopes that I want. So what are we doing in variable? We're doing Costco, which is right at the back. So Costco is getting £20, and I do think that I do need to do a visit to Costco. I might do it actually when my husband's on holiday, so that I can be in control of what we get. But it is mainly just household stuff that I need. Okay, so that's that one. I think that's everything in there. Yep. And then it's into the beauty one. So I'm putting £20 in hair. Oops. So hair now has 20, 40, 50. My appointment's not until the start of February. Nails is getting 20. So I've got 20, 30, 35, 40 pound in there. So that will do for the other half of my next appointment, and then the deposit for the one after that. And then skincare is getting £10. I do need some face wash, but I'm happy with a normal, simple Nivea, something like that face wash, because you just wash it off your face, don't you? It's a bit different when you're using moisturisers and serums and things, but I like to wash my face, so I don't bother about paying for a face wash out of skincare. I just pay for it out of toiletries. Okay, so that is everything in that one. So then what we're doing the big ones. So this is the big goals binder in the fireworks. Clunk, that was one just fell off the end. And I'm putting £20 into girls trip. Starting this one off because I know that I've got the rest of the cruise to pay with, and it's going to take up the most of this £1,500 challenge. I'm just putting a little bit in to fill up the rest, because my husband and I will both have £1,500 towards our solo trips this year. His will be paid for the trip he takes at the end of Jan, and then the trip he takes next year, where mine is just for this year. So we're doing £20 up there. Give it a waft to dry it off. Ooh, dear me. I'm all fingers and thumbs today. Right, £20 in that one. And then what have we got left? Nothing else is going in the big goals binder. I think it's savings challenges next. So this is the annual one. So there's a challenge for each month. This binder's not doing very well either. There's a challenge for each month, and I am hoping that I can get through the year without having to use any of this money, so I can start January 2027 with this money in here. So I've got 20, 25, 30 pound in there to start us off. So January is 60 I'm aiming for. Do get a little bit bigger after that. That's that one done. I am doing another one of these goals. What am I like? I'm going to finish this 2025 challenge, which is for my husband's trip. Could you hear that then? That was a dog banging his head on the radiator. So I'm going to put the £100 placeholder in and 25. So there's 125 gone into there. Organise the money. Okay, so he's got 100 and 300 in the bank, 350, 370, 390, 395, £400. So that is that one completed. So it does say £500 on the tracker, but that's this one with the 4 green ticks. We've already spent that money. That was used towards our trip in August when we had our last minute cheapie break in the sun. So there we go, that's that one completed. So I'm actually going to take that one out and I'm going to put that money straight in the bank, because then that's his trip completely funded. Hooray! There we go. So I will, this one is for the rest of his holiday money, for the £1,500. So £1,500 each. That's mine. His is that tracker plus this, because he's had some money outside of the trackers as well, which is why it doesn't add up to 1,500. Hope that makes sense. That's that one. Okay, I've got 20, 40, 50. Why am I £20 short? Why have I got £20 too much? I've missed something out, haven't I? Just looking at my list. I'm just looking at my list. Right, the £50 I've already allocated, if you follow me on Instagram, to the savings, the money detox. That's one of them. That's what's come out of the budget. So I'll put that in there when I leave that one to one side. And I can't think why I've got £20 extra. Did I put the money in January? You'll be shouting at me, won't you? You'll be telling me where it is. If you know what I've done, yeah, that's right. If you know what I've done, tell me in the comments. And I'll go back through and check everything and find where this other £20 should be. Okay, there we go. That is me cash stuffed for week 2 and my budget all tied up for week 1. So we'll be back on Friday to review my budget for week 2 and then cash stuff for week 3. But in the meantime, I'll be posting a video in the next sort of 48 hours, which will be me cash stuffing my challenges with the money that I have saved so far in week 1 for the 75-day money detox. It'll just be a short video, but I just want to do that one separately. So do take care until then. Have a great week and I shall speak to you all soon. Bye-bye.